And jumping right on in, a little over halfway done, we could see EG's led off with Razor, Ogre Magi, and Jakiro. VP Polar on the other side, grabbing them their Death Prophet, which is this going to be... I'm pretty sure this is going to make the 6th straight game in D2L play that we're likely to see Lil running on that DP, but they do grab the IO to go with it.
Yep, it's still funny to me because I'm still not the biggest fan with them picking it in particular, but they really, really like and feel comfortable with it. I talked at the beginning how Evil Geniuses seems to pick more quote-unquote standard stuff. When I mean standard for Evil Geniuses, which means they love Jakiro, they love Ogre, and actually they love Razor too, and they will keep picking the stuff that works. Every once in a while you'll see them venture off with something different, like where they want to try something, for instance, like a bounty hunter core for fear. But generally they kind of they settle with these certain heroes that are like in their minds that if this is left unbanned, we're going to pick this. If this is left unbanned, we're going to pick this. And namely Jakiro and Ogre are at the top of that list.
Oh, yeah, and I think that's the best way to put it. What EG likes, and they don't really care. We did see, if you were watching the previous series over on with our friends at Dream League, though, really interesting drafts on both sides. More to the point, we saw EG running Arteezy on a Legion commander, also saw Fear on a Zeus, so it's not as if EG can't step out of the box whenever they feel like it. Just right now, they don't really feel like it. They're going to give us 3 picks we're very accustomed to seeing, and really Polar's not going too far out of the box either. I mean, Witch Doctor is one of those heroes that whenever you look at the stats surrounding him so far as pro play goes, it's hard to argue outside of Ogre Magi that any support in the last month to 2 months has really seen more rise in popularity than he has. And there's a good reason for it. I mean, he's excellent as a roamer. He works well in any number of lineups, sustained lineups that just want to go guns forward and push. He's excellent in any situation. And of course, any sort of big AoE disable or hell, any single target disable with his ultimate is just devastating if he's well positioned. And whenever you put that with a Puck and a Death Prophet, these are heroes already that you can see want to take these fights. They want to drag them out, and they're going to be able to do very, very well in that regard. But EG, their draft is kind of functioning the same way. A lot of spam-heavy heroes. Dazzle, of course, can keep a fight going. Razor wants to keep a fight going after he's had sufficient time to sap damage via the static link and so on. So I think this is going to be, I don't want to say just based on the composition, I don't want to say it's going to be super, frenzied and all over the map and just kills everywhere, but I do think we're going to see both teams very, very willing to fight early on, so long as they have their core items up.
I could easily see Slark being picked up here last for EG. Yep. Well,
hey, there's the man.
Like it fits out perfect.
That's why we pay you the bucks.
What's that?
That's why we pay you the bucks for the analysis.
The big bucks. No, it's just it made a lot of sense here. Like looking at Virtus Pro Polar's lineup, they're also very squishy, and they don't have a lot of maneuverability with especially Death Prophet, Witch Doctor early on. Even the Wisp you can tether, but other than that, you just like the good thing about Slark against heroes like especially Terrorblade or Death Prophet, ones that are like they're kind of glass cannons in the sense like you got to be very careful about fighting them. But Slark is perfect because you can just use the Death Pact and you actually don't get hit by the spirits from Death Prophet.
Right.
So it's did I say Death Pact? I meant to say
Dark Pact.
Yeah, I meant to say Shadow Dance. You can use Shadow Dance and you don't get hit by the Death Prophet spirits, which is really, really good. And I think just overall they wanted a hero that just gets in the face because Razor with BKB can just run in there and go ham. Jakiro's pretty tanky. Ogre can just run in there with a stun. Dazzle's the only one that has to be a little bit careful, but Dazzle's a good pickup against Death Prophet. Last pickup here is the Phantom Assassin. I'm wondering if we're going to see some like Wisp mid with Phantom Assassin, and then Death Prophet's actually being played by Mag. So yeah, that's another thing I was going to touch on. I wasn't quite sure how they were going to move around the roles here.
Yeah, well, I mean, whenever you look at this lineup, and especially us, we got a very good look at Polar before, just going back to yesterday. But even the rest of their lineup, you know that this is a team with a lot of talent and a lot of ability on it. They are in the middle of flux, and you can't overstate the value that a player like Goldblack brings to any team. I mean, he's almost always the drafter for the team. He's almost always that leading voice. It might be first among equals kind of a situation, but still, he almost always brings the personality to a team. So losing him is going to put Polar in flux for a while. But I don't think there's any argument that they have the individual skill at pretty much every position. And it's worth mentioning that, Mag, we'll have to wait and see, but I still have no idea how you actually pronounce his name. I'm just going to continue to call him X. And looks like they want another connection. So we may have to remake. I'm going to leave that up to an admin and see if they go ahead and give a ruling on that momentarily. If not, then we'll go ahead and work on that. But anyway, this guy is basically their permanent fourth. I mean, he's been playing with them a lot. And are there no admins? I know our lead admin is actually in the middle of an emergency call right now. So I guess I'm going to have to take the lead on this. Okay. Oh, wait.
I don't think it hurts.
Yeah. What? There's Gino.
It's actually
Gino
kind of. I'm from West, and as you are too, and I have actually a very low ping to this East server. So I'm wondering if it's like a Central East kind of host, and since they are from what? They're from East Europe, aren't they?
Yeah. I say give it a second. Well, as they sort this out, and we'll have to remake if things don't clear up, but do want to reiterate for the next 3 days, today, tomorrow, and the day after, we are partnered with HyperX in terms of a fantastic deal they're offering on their cloud headset. I love it. Trout's using it right now. I use it at home on my own machine, and it's worth every penny at the regular price. And I can tell you without a doubt, the deal they're offering right now is phenomenal. You can get it on Newegg or Amazon at a very hefty discount. So if you want to head to kingston.com/D2LS5, if you're in the market for some new ear gear, you will not be disappointed. It's like couches for your ears, man. Couches for your ears.
I like that analogy.
It's very comfortable.
Yep, it's a nice headset. I really like it a lot. We're gonna see if their lag subsides. Yeah, I don't think anything is gonna change. We should probably just re-host and then.
Yeah, they just left. That's fine. All right, guys. We'll be right back. We're going to get the host up, and hopefully it won't take but a minute. Again, you're tuned in to the D2L Season 5 Western Action Rules On. We'll be back after a quick reconnect to a new server, Polar, taking on EG. Stick with us.
Make the ground shake.
And we're back in. So, didn't take too long, and we're ready to roll. A quick remake. And for those who do wonder, by the way, a couple of things that are worth mentioning that always kind of come up, and I understand people want to know the different rules of competition. So far as servers happen to go, Each team gets one game on whatever their chosen server is, and the other team gets the pick and or side advantage, depending on which they prefer. Then we coin flip for game 3 if it does happen to come to that. So, yeah, we're on US East to start. That means our next game will be on Polar's chosen server, which I'm pretty sure is Luxembourg, and it'll be EG that gets to choose side or pick first. Nonetheless, we did remake from Captain's Mode as well, as we've spoken to many pro players, and they don't like the fact that there's different starting time from all pick and CM, so we try to accommodate that as well.
Yep. Yeah, that's good for them. And it is going to be the puck in the off lane. So, or actually, is it? I don't know, like walking around a little bit, he just wants a pool. So yeah, it's going to be DK Phobos playing that puck again. And like I said in the beginning, I was quite impressed with him in his recent puck play. Mag is actually going to be playing mid. I'll let you actually do that since I'm just kind of going through each hero anyway.
Taking a look at who's handling who. It is up. Hang on. Illidan going for a DD. We'll snag it. He's going to turn on Zai after eating a fire blast in the face, and they're going to stick with this. He's got IO right in his pocket. Universe took his first point into they're going to get him because he didn't save his point, understandably so, just wanting to do damage. And instead, it's a very quick first blood off of that DD. So EG getting out the gate in a bad way, while Polar, well, they're going to be happy about that. Kind
of a lucky rune, honestly, for VP. Yeah. But that's kind of something you also have to expect and have in the back of your mind when you do contest runes like that. Perhaps they were anticipating a dual lane mid to start, but nonetheless, nice kill there. Jump start, who got credit for it was actually the Witch Doctor, so that'll be fast boots for him. Mag getting his damage sucked off, but at least he does have his Crypt Swarm to get some nice CS.
Well, getting zoned a bit by PPD. First point into his Poison Touch, and able to move him back out off of that. We'll talk about the lane matchups briefly. Phobos, as mentioned, on the puck out in the off lane. It's Zai hooked up with PPD, who's on the Dazzle, and Fear farming the Slark here in this defensive tri-lane. The mid matchup is going to be Mag, as you mentioned, on the Death Prophet, going toe-to-toe with Arteezy, who is playing ultra aggressive and has no problem playing like this at this stage of the game. Not a whole lot of DP can do. He's even going to go ahead and drag. No, creeps didn't follow him. But anyway, down at bottom, it's going to be Universe, who's here out in the off lane, and he could be in some trouble. He's taking some damage. Yep, there's going to be the Stifling Dagger, and this is probably going to be EG's second death, and it will. So, EG coming off of a loss to Cloud9 and Dream League, not off to the most auspicious start here in Game 1 of this best of 3 either. Give Polar a 2-0 lead.
Arteezy is doing quite well in mid, though. He's playing really aggressive, getting every last hit meticulously, getting that one, getting that one. Like, this is one hero player. I talked about this in our last cast. I really like watching mid players and their matchups and just how they really start from start to finish. And look at just how meticulous, like every last hit, he gives such great detail to everything. And I think that's really what people appreciate about RTC.
Oh yeah, you know, whenever you talk about what separates a professional player from a very good player or what have you, mechanics is the word that everyone uses. But you know, it's one thing to be mechanical; it's another to search for mechanical perfection. And you know, at the professional level, you're always trying to be as perfect as you can. But there are just some who come a little closer sometimes. Phobos getting zoned a little bit more up at top. But yeah, Arteezy I would definitely put in that category. Eternal Envy I would put in that category. A number of players as well. So always a pleasure, like you said, to watch. Like if you're a person who wants to learn these mid heroes, wants to be the next Artur, maybe with better taste in music, but nonetheless the next Artur, make sure you take time to go watch. He's down at bottom. Universe is once again in trouble, and he's down to a quarter. Yeah, this is death number 3. The offlane Jakiro not panning out the way EG would like. He is level 3, so he has gotten some XP out of it, but Polar is quite happy to take the feeds where they can get him too.
Yeah, normally you don't see, or at least experience, playing up against a Phantom Assassin lane. It's very good with Wisp in general. I mean, we see this combination all the time, normally in mid, but people sometimes forget just how much jumping potential there is. How far away you can initiate with the Stifling Dagger into your Pounce and the Phantom Strike, and then Wisp follows up with his own amount of damage, and then just every little bit counts. And on a hero like THD, that the second you get caught, you're dead. You can't afford to actually play in situations where you normally could get like that little bit of experience. You just can't do it in this kind of scenario. So,
yeah. Speaking of aggression, Arteezy, just by playing so aggressive, has basically opened up a half a level lead on Mag, even though there has been no gank attempt on mid whatsoever, and certainly no deaths. He's just doing that effective of a job of winning the lane. He's right on top of Mag now. and doesn't have anyone coming over to help gank. Here's going to be a rune, and once again, oh, actually the IO is stuck up on the platform, and Universe is going to be able to make it away, as he does happen to have help. Zai did TP into mid and was ready to come bail his buddy out if such was needed, but instead they're just going to go on back into the jungle. Take a look at the CS chart. It is the PA on top. Razor, though. Arteezy's Razor up. Hang on, they're going to get mag. One last auto attack, and they got him. So Universe saying the hell with the bottom lane. I like mid, and I like rolling around with Zai as they get a kill and a little free damage on the tower as well.
Zai's also got a lot of last hits from neutral creeps from pulling. He's got up to 11 CS. That's one less than the DP. I know it's neutral creeps, but still, just to put in perspective of how much pressure. Oh my god, PPD's taking a lot of damage. He doesn't have a point in Grave. One more auto attack from this, and he's dead.
I'm not sure what was happening there. I mean, the puck was just lit him up. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. Fear trying to jump onto him. This is probably going to be a worthwhile trade for them, actually. As if the puck had gotten away, then, you know, whatever. But Peter playing the hard 5, as he always does. Trading him for the enemy offlaner, I don't think is something they're going to mind that much.
No, I think it's fine. And even the Universe got a little bit of experience, too. So despite him getting really thrashed in the bottom lane, he's level 4, which is not too bad. I mean, that's actually a level higher than Puck. So,
yep.
Not a bad trade at all.
And this is one thing that, you know, it's not optimum, obviously, but if you're a Jakiro, you can actually get into the jungle around level 3 or 4. A couple of points in a liquid fire, you know, dual breath, what have you. And, you know, it helps the stack, but you don't want to overstack. You don't want to take too much damage. But if you're in some trouble, you can go do this. I mean, he's lost about half a health bar, but he is going to be able to bring this camp down. He's still got a salve on him, so he's in good shape there. So he's not going to be falling too terribly far behind in terms of levels. In fact, he's right on par with the Witch Doctor and even the Puck, who was out in the off lane, obviously, for Polar as well. So playing catch up fairly effectively. 6 minutes coming up, and we'll keep an eye on the race for the rune. Will be Peter in position, grabs the haste. Phobos there a little bit late. It's a bounty at bottom. Phobos taking a little bit of right click. Will be able to orb and jaunt away if he wants. Yeah, there you go. And behind that, though, look at Mag. Mag, once again, taking a bit of damage.
And speaking of damage, he's got none of it, as he's got 70 sucked away, and he can only get CS now through his Crypt Swarm, which has pretty much been the story from start to finish in this mid lane. They do spot out this Ogre, they pinged him out, so they know that he's there at the very least. But yeah, I just don't know how this DP fits in this lineup. This is like, as you mentioned, like what, the 6th time straight? It's not Lil playing at this time, but this is kind of like a 4 Protect 1 for PA, except they have a weird, awkward Death Prophet thrown in the middle of it. I feel like if this hero was, like, I love Puck. I think that works very well with the lineup. Oh, speaking of Puck, he actually gets stunned right now.
Trouble. Yep, he manages, oh! Fear misses with the pounce. Waning Rift will turn him away along with some tower damage. The Ignite was very well phase shifted as well, so does manage to make it away. And once again, Phobos, I mean, let's be honest, you know, yesterday in the 2nd series, hold on, Mag being caught with static link. Yeah, nobody coming. Thought maybe they would try to dive, but not the case. But I mean, he's played well. I mean, he's, you know, when your team's doing poorly, it's hard to really stand out. But when Polar was doing well yesterday, he really showed he is a top tier player, and it shows in everything he does.
Yep, but yeah, as far as this Death Prophet, I feel like this was a different hero. Like if they had like Puck mid and like Tide in the mix to kind of help out in these team fights a little bit. I fear that Death Prophet's just gonna get multicast and died, and like not gonna really be able to do anything with his ult. That's the only thing I fear. I think PA is a great pick. I think they've already done great things in the bottom lane, and I think Illidan has the chances to really put this one on his back. But I'm very curious to see what this Death Prophet can do.
Gonna be the race for the rune again. 8 minutes in, Arteezy turned away by Mag and Phobos. It's a double damage. And Arteezy will take a little bit of damage for his trouble. No one else moving in that direction. Outside of some lane deaths, been relatively quiet. Haven't seen a whole lot of movement towards mid, or what little movement we have seen has been spotted and largely ineffective. And I want to see when they start getting the IO involved. He's now level 6, and the Witch Doctor's coming up on 6 as well. And these 3 heroes together just have the potential to output a tremendous amount of damage, but they may just end up doing, like you said, a 4 Protect 1 approach, where they're just going to let the PA farm and try to make things happen elsewhere. PPD has rotated down to bottom along with Universe, so we'll see if they're just going to share some XP and let Fear do his thing solo at top for a while, or if they have something else in mind.
Yeah, level 6 for Puck is going to be a huge milestone for them. I think they want to be... It's funny, because you're talking about you want to be aggressive with a team with Phantom Assassin, but I think, oh, here comes a possible dive up top. There's no Fear. Thinks better of, and actually its EP is canceled here by
He missed on the pounce. He went for it. Now Universe down at bottom taking some damage, but with PPD there, they're going to turn it around. Ice Path will catch Illidan from behind. Stifling Dagger on the Universe. There's going to be the cast. Going to bounce. Little unfortunately for them. Didn't catch PPD in the midst of all of it, but that was a fair amount of damage done to Illidan, and now Zai shows his face as well. So they're going to be pressuring this bottom lane just a little bit. Bag, in the meantime, continues to languish there in mid. It's up to 35 CS, but still running quite a bit further behind Arteezy. And Zai's been moving around a whole lot, but to be honest, hasn't accomplished a whole lot. So he's going to look to be a part of a successful fight sometime soon. There's going to be a pounce that finally does catch Phobos at top, but Fear just going to take the free damage and not hang around into the tower too long.
Puck is actually a really good hero against Slark in general. There's not really any way Slark can actually keep him down. Even with the pounce connecting, you can't really kill him unless you have a bash, or even then if you have an Abyssal, which is a lot of money invested just to kill the very elusive Puck. And also, on top of that, you turn the tables around. Puck is very good against Slark and initiating onto him with like a Blink Silence.
Oh yeah,
one of the better tools to actually deal with the Slark. So we'll have to see how DK Phobos can play this once he gets a little bit more farm. It's been relatively shut down here, but he's very close to 6. And I think what I was talking about is I think they need to get aggressive before this THD gets more levels in Ice Path, because that's going to be a big key in these fights, especially when you're fighting around Wisp Relocate.
Yeah. Illidan is off to a good start, so EG has to be feeling at least a little bit of urgency. The build that we're going to see on Fear is going to be, big question mark. Blink, very likely an option here. He's got 2,000 gold tucked away. We'll see if he wants to finish his tier 2s or if he wants to go straight up Blink right off the bat. I want to see if they're going to really go pure active build with him. There's going to be a 2-man coil up at top, and here come the TPs in. They're going to jump on top of Zai, and with Illidan landing in along with the relocate from the IO, that's going to be a nice kill. They would have loved to have gotten Fear instead, but we can see EG is waiting on the return, well-timed, and he is going to be able to tether to some creeps. Don't know that it's going to matter, as, yeah, that's going to be a return kill. So they end up trading support for support. Up at top, Fear's continuing to hang around, got the pounce onto Illidan, and doesn't look like they're that interested in trying to respond to top. Zai's going to show up in mid and turn Mag away, who is using his Exorcism to try and pressure the tower. But down at bottom with a max, not quite max yet, 3 points to the Liquid Fire, this tier 1 at bottom is going to drop very quickly to Universe, and in particular, Arteezy's Razor has not put a point into Eye of the Storm yet, though.
Yep, this is a much more big fighting build, and just getting some hero useless like the Death Prophet, just sucking out all the damage. Slark does finish his Blink, so no treads for him. Kind of interesting, but wants to have the Blink ready to go, and he does. Goes back top to farm, and it looks like it might be a trade, although I imagine EG wants to fight this. We'll see. Exorcism's down for another 100 seconds, so... And we'll see. Do they have Glyph? They don't. So if they want to fight this, they need to fight now, and nope, it's too late.
Nope, they're going to let it go. And they're immediately... Oh, hang on. Fear's going to come in and try to get at least something for it, and they will. Io's going to end up dropping, and there's going to be the coil that's spent just on the Ogre, but the damage from that alone enough to finish him off. And let's see if they can catch anyone on the retreat. Looks like they're running as a pack, and yeah, EG going to dodge any sort of movement after that. Level 6 on the Witch Doctor now. So having his ulti on the ready, going to up the combat potential of Polar quite a bit. Mag, in the meantime, still playing a bit of catch-up. Only has a null talisman. Is it, middle of the board on CS? Do you think Mag's anywhere near where he needs to be, or do you think they need to really prioritize making space for him? Because I don't know that if EG comes together and starts fighting as 5 right now, that Polar's really going to be in a position to contest them.
Well, and I think that's just the nature of the hero DP. I think Mag's recovered nicely. Given his start, I think Arteezy really had his way with him in the mid lane. But, yeah, he's recovered nicely, but I think his hero's going to have some limitations in the mid game. We've seen so many times where Polar has drafted this hero, yesterday especially, where he just couldn't do anything in these fights. And that was against teams that were not so terrible against Death Prophet, but this one is like, it's really hard for him to fight up against. He almost has Yules, which is really, really good for him, but I feel like Yules is just going to delay the inevitable in these team fights for him. He has to play very, very cautiously, very, very greedily, I think, actually. But the thing is you also have a PA on your team, so I don't think you can afford to have 2 heroes play the same way like that.
Right. And speaking of playing greedily, the PA is going for a Battle Fury. So it is going to be a very farm-oriented build. And, I mean, she can certainly come and fight with a Battle Fury, no problem. But it's not quite as... She's going to want a little bit more time. Whereas Fear Did go for the Blink Dagger and has up his treads as well. I feel like right now is actually a wonderful window for EG if they want to go fight. Especially, yeah, Arteezy's level 11. I was going to say level 10 and 11. He probably will put his points in Eye of the Storm, and so he did. One that's off cooldown, and I don't know, though. Universe only has 1 point in the Ice Path, so like you said, getting those points up could be a big deal. They're going to end up jumping on a Phobos behind his own tier 1, trying to dive him out. Coil's going to be spent on Fear, and he's going to have to wait. Here comes the relocate. He's coming right into a whole team, and Io by himself manages to survive. In the meantime, Fear's going to go right on back in. Fear could end up feeding himself. Io picked off, and it looks like Phobos, the grave is on the Fear, just waiting out. He was hit with an urn charge, so just waiting it out. But EG didn't go as well as they would have liked, but they're certainly going to be happy to take a tier 2 down at bottom. Best VP is going to be able to do is try to trade a tier 1 and then maybe use Exorcism on this tier 2. Glyph is up for EG, though.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get that in time. I don't know, I guess they have a DD on Mag, so they're hitting quite hard. They'll probably force out a... Yeah, there's the Glyph. Some people will TP back, and then they'll fall back. It'll be fine. So very nice exchange there for EG. That was a very weird relocate from Wisp.
It was.
I think his intentions was to go, and then at the last second, he was like, wait, this is a terrible decision, so he just unleashed whoever he was with and just sacrificed himself. So a nice last-second decision, but a little bit hasty.
They're just going to catch the Witch Doctor for free behind the tower. Zai, in the meantime, taking some damage. Got off a multicast, though. Fear trying to track down the Io. Illidan, in the meantime, managed to get a kill of his own on Universe. Fear still cleaning house, though. Now going toe-to-toe. There's going to be LPPD. Didn't have enough mana for Grave. If he had enough mana for Grave, Slark would have won that engagement. Instead, Illidan's going to try to make it another kill. Now he has enough mana for Grave and uses it on himself. Zai, yeah, just dead. No way to say it. Was curious if he was going to try to do something cute. Not so much the case. And that's a very, very nice turnaround for VP. They even managed to keep this tier 1 up. And it looked like EG was going to take it for free with the power of Liquid Fire and them just being in position first. Slark did get a couple of kills before he ended up dropping, but unfortunately the PA added to her total as well. That's now 4-0 on Illidan, and this is not where you want the enemy Phantom Assassin to be. She's got a great farming item up. It was up in about 15 minutes, if not even sooner. 1,300 gold, plus treads, and 4 kills. Great start for Illidan.
Yeah, that was so close, too, with the TP coming out. DK Phobos' coil was up in 2 seconds, right as Peter was TPing, and it was very close. I'm sure he would have used it to kill him. But yeah, he used his mana. He was waiting there with Grave. I saw him. He had enough, and then I think he used a heal, or maybe he used something. And then
Shadow Wave, I think.
Yeah.
I think he Shadow Waved.
So kind of unfortunate right there, but he still gets stunned regardless, but unfortunate that the Slark had to die. What's his item progression looking like? Not too much after the blink. He finished his treads.
Yep.
Another 1,000 gold after
He finished his Aquila.
Okay.
That was added too. He had the Orb of Venom up early.
Illidan's looking like it wants to get a BKB, which is definitely the right decision. Another great thing about Phantom Assassin against, in particular, Slark is that while you can't target Slark during the ultimate when he pops the Shadow Dance, if you cleave next to something, obviously you can still hit him for a great amount of damage. And, of course, the evasion. You have to force him to get the MKB if you really want him to get that full damage output, which is just not something that Slarks usually prioritize on that hero.
Speaking of item progression,
oh God,
how about the DP? Oh, yeah. Sorry, Zai. Super dead. Did you see the infographic for Star Ladder? Apparently, Zai fed the most in all Star Ladder matches.
Really?
Yeah, he averaged the most deaths across the entirety of Star Ladder 10.
Well, he's got 5 here so far. Fear's actually incredible.
Yep, Macro Pyre's going to go down. Nice Ice Path from Universe, though. Caught too. Illidan, though, just feeling a little too survivable. Fear's going to have to turn and run. The IO very close to dead. And Universe caught from behind with a cast. There's one big crit and one Crypt Swarm. Yep, that'll do. Stifling Dagger enough to secure things for the Phantom Assassin. And EG has got to stop giving up these deaths. That's now 6-0 for Illidan. I mean, and, you know, it's not all about kills, but it's just free. It's free money that they're giving him. Free levels. Level almost 12 now in terms of levels. He's, yeah, almost caught up to the mid-Razor, and he was a tri-lane PA that was actually grouped up with his team a vast majority of the laning phase. So he is really skyrocketing now. Just off of the back of, it's hard to call them mistakes, just bad positioning. But in mid, Arteezy's next on the list. If they can get him and PPD, there's going to be the grave. Arteezy's going to make up his mind. Doesn't have enough mana for a TP. Can't TP out even if he wanted to try. And Illidan adds another kill. Now Zai's there along with PPD. However, IO relocated back from whence he came. Phobos could be in trouble as Fear's right on top of him. We'll be able to clean him up, and he may find Io. He's going to have a pounce in 5 seconds using the Shadow Dance to pursue now. He's got teammates on the way just in case there is some kind of a reaction, and that's going to be a nice TP that's going to get the Io back home to safety. Universe was on the way, as was PPD, but in the end, the Io able to make it home safe. 12-8, though, remains the kill lead for VP Polar, as they are just really doing well here in the first 20.
Yeah, that kill onto Arteezy is huge, because I think Slark is going to kind of lose his pizzazz a little bit. It's really hard for Slark to kill PA. It's very hard for Slark to kill the puck. I was talking about this in general as we hit the mid to late game, or just even approach the mid game. Slark is not that great against puck. So the real hero that's going to kind of put this all together for them is Arteezy on the Razor, but he doesn't have a BKB yet. So slowing down his item progression is huge. I think getting kills on him is paramount here for VP Polar. I think he's going to be the biggest problem here also because the static, or the Eye of the Storm is very good against PA. Yeah, getting kills like that is very effective.
Phobos under some pressure as Fear and Universe wanted to try to make something happen. Up at top, we could have a dive on Arteezy. There's a Stifling Dagger coming out of the woods. Illidan, nope, not going to dive too hard. The rest of his team is down to bottom, pressuring that tier 2, so this may end up being an even trade. Although EG does have a glyph, and actually Polar does as well. It doesn't look like they're going to use it
They should
quite
just
yet.
mass TP and fight bottom. There's no Razor.
That's what exactly what they're... Oh, he whiffed on it. There's a beautiful 4-man ice path, and that's going to slow the pursuit. There's going to be a weave onto them as well, and EG might think about turning around. Yeah, they're actually going to turn around now. And let's see if Polar is actually going to linger. And yeah, they know they're going to lose 2 there because that was a relocate. They're just going to push back in and rely on the fact that Illidan can't push as quickly as they can as a team. Again, they do have a glyph, and Polar will have to abandon the bottom tier 2, which is already very low to begin with. I mean, it's so easy to forget just how quickly you can whittle a tower down with a few blasts of liquid fire. At top, the tier 2 barely touched. EG still waiting on their creep wave. There you go. No more backdoor protection. Down it goes, and let's see if they want to push. Like, they may honestly consider pushing through. TPs, yep, we're going to see Illidan have to withdraw. So not even having to go top, instead just going to rattle their Saber at the tier 3 and force Polar to reset.
I don't think they have any business actually taking high ground. I think, no, I think they just need to hit this and back off. I don't think they should fight this. Coil is not that long of a cooldown. It's going to be up relatively soon. BKB now into Illidan. That should signal them to get the F out. They should not fight this. Okay, yeah, they're finally backing. They got almost half damage to the tower. That's very, very good for them. I don't even think they should have got that. But had that coil actually hit something, I think it would have been devastating for EG. I think VP would have come out very far on top.
No, I agree with you. EG is... whenever they initiate correctly and whenever they're able to pick a target off or just, make the fight, take a fight on their own terms, they're in great shape. But as of right now, with the development of Polar and the situation being what it is with the PA being in such great shape, I feel like they do have to... Oh, here we go. Relocate. Universe dead. Hit with the Waning Rift. He's going to try to make his way out. Not going to be reality as Mag's right there and Phobos there as well. Yule Scepter brings him down to his death. 22 minutes in. Polar leads 13-8. And, I mean, this is just really, like, what was he even doing here? The rest of his team had completely backed out. I understand you want to be greedy and take farm where you can get it, but you have to know that Polar has been punishing you for that so far all game.
Well, at the very least, Universe is only level 9. It's very low compared to what I thought he would be normally at this stage, because he's actually almost respawned, but that's huge. Any kill like that, too, close to Roshan at this stage of the game is an immediate Roshan. With the Exorcism popped up, PA can literally solo it if she smokes in if she wants to.
Yep.
But yeah, very nice. And who got that? It's probably the PA, I'm assuming. Yeah, with BKB. So Ichi's actually in a really rough spot. The biggest thing, too, is that comes later stages, if the PA jumps onto Arteezy and Arteezy doesn't have BKB activated, but the PA does, she's not going to get purged. And if she gets a couple lucky crits, that Razor is just going to be completely useless. And that's the one thing I fear here in the late stage of the game for EG, is if this Razor gets blown up. I don't think they have much to fight with.
Wasted smoke. They try to smoke down mid, have the opportunity to get on Mag, but really something that we haven't talked a whole lot about is they don't, I mean, outside of Fear getting a nice pounce up, hang on, speaking of, they will catch Mag near his own tier 3. This is going to be responded to quickly, though. Shadow Dance will get Fear out of trouble. But they don't have particularly great initiation. I mean, Slark's got a Blink Dagger, so they're going to be relying on that. And other than that, though, I mean, yes, you can hit an ice path, and that'll be handy-dandy, but you don't just have a way to jump on a target like you do. There's going to be a two-man coil. Zai's gone from the fight immediately. No way to save him. Arteezy BKBs, tries to turn around, doesn't matter. Io's already down, and Illidan is just chopping wood at this point. There's the ultimate from the Witch Doctor. Arteezy will not die to it. Very well timed. Shadow away from PPD, kept him alive a little bit longer. Doesn't matter, as Puck is there to clean things up with the orb. Phobos and Universe going toe for toe now. Behind that, we can see Illidan still going to work. However, Fear right on him. They will be able to get the Aegis. There's Phobos caught in a macro pyre after. Oh, Universe going to be Yuled out of his own TP. Phobos ate a bit of damage. They should be able to finish him off here shortly, though. And, yep, one more auto attack, enough to bring him down. That's a 2-for-2 exchange, but it was supports lost on the side of Polar. They did end up losing their Aegis as well, so not a completely lost cause, but another death on Universe and another death on Arteezy. As you said, slowing him down a big deal. He's not in quite as dire a situation as other heroes on the map, but 2 deaths more than he would have liked. 8-0 now for Illidan on the PA, and she is just getting out of hand. There is a Scotty done on Fear now, though. When speaking of, we're going to see him engaged by Illidan here in mid. He will pounce up to the high ground, and that'll probably be enough to send VP back to their corner to take a breather.
And he does have a, yeah, as you mentioned, Scotty for him. That was a 10-second BKB charged by Razor that was used, unfortunate. Ogre died at the start of that fight, didn't cast a single spell, and that was really big. If he gets one multicast, could maybe change the fight, maybe even ignite to slow people down, but couldn't get anything off. And I was going to mention one of the things. Oh, the Death Ward's actually quite good against Arteezy, too. It's good damage that you don't have to really target him with. And that did a considerable amount of damage. And people who have the school of thought to not level up the ult for Dazzle level 6, I think are being shown here just how strong that is, because that actually buffed up their team considerably. That was only level 1 ult. They had a lot of armor that fight, and so this is this Dazzle pick coming into play.
I think Weave is one of the most criminally underrated abilities in the game, because it's not like flashy. You don't land it and go, oh, what a big play.
Right.
You throw it, and then you're immortal for a few seconds. Like, that's basically how it works.
Oh, I definitely saw it. Like, they were quite tanky as a result of that.
Oh, yeah, for
like,
sure.
Those crits were coming out
so
for PA,
worse.
and I was like, where's this? Why is this damage being mitigated? But, yeah.
No, I completely agree with you, man. Nonetheless, EG finds themselves in a hole, and believe it or not, it's not as deep a hole as I would have thought. Taking a look at the net worth chart, we can see they're behind 4K total and 5,000 experience, so they're definitely behind, and Polar is definitely in a situation where they can set their own pace and really take the game into their own hands. But given how lopsided a lot of this has looked and how effective Polar has been at not just picking off priority targets like Universe, like Arteezy, etc., but on top of that, just how well Illidan's done. I mean, when you factor that in, I'm a little shocked that they're not a little further ahead than they are.
Yeah, I'm also shocked how underfarmed Universe is in comparison to how he usually is in rest of games when he plays THD, or the Jakiro, excuse me. He's right there actually with the Wisp as far as net worth. Usually he gets so much farm on this hero, but that bottom lane was just so rough for him, as we saw. I just didn't anticipate the large range of the Wisp plus the PA, and got caught out a couple times, and as a result is only level 10 with minimal amounts of farm. I'm very curious to see when Wisp can build up this mech. He's actually got the recipe, just needs the headdress. And I think Vlad's is really in store for Wisp too. It's a fantastic item for PA. Usually PA, oh, could see possible engagement up top.
Yep, Fear has the shadow dance. They're right on top of him though. He's going to TP out and be able to make it out. Being engaged by Illidan at any point now, though, is going to be such a major fear for the Slark unless he has his team around him because of the presence of that Basher.
Yeah.
And like you said, I'm actually a little shocked that... shocked is the wrong word. I understand wanting the mech up. I feel like going Vlad's, given how good of a start Illidan has. I mean, he's going to have level 3 coup de grace soon. So, I mean, his damage output is going to be absurd. And if he had prioritized getting a Vlad's up a little sooner, I think they could honestly just start to 5-man under towers and dare EG to beat them. Yeah. But mech certainly going to help out too.
Yeah, I think Vlad's would have been the better choice, just because you're buffing up a hero that not only you can give him lifesteal, but when you actually give him damage too, which then gets multiplied by your crit chance, I think it works out wonders. That's a heart completed actually for DP, so Mac has really recovered nicely here from the horrible start he had in the mid lane. And there's an aggressive smoke 4-man here coming up from Virtus Pro Polar.
Zai TPing out to safety over in the side shop. That's Slark. He'll blink to another point and he'll be able to make it away. So EG either sniffing it out with good game sense or being a little bit lucky at the right time. They get their 2 out of the firing line. And Polar still going headhunting, and PPD could be the target. He's right beside them. Looks like they are just going to go ahead and double back to mid and try to reset a little bit. Speaking of reset, Roche going to be up in a couple of minutes. So, and you know, like you said, with the PA being in as good a shape as she is, any kind of a win for Polar now with a Roche up, especially if it takes place close to Roche, is going to end up being a free Aegis for Illidan. So that's, I mean, EG has really run out of any flex they had in terms of making mistakes. Like, they don't have a lot of room for error anymore.
Yeah, and I think as far as what Arteezy wants this build, I've seen him go Shivas a lot, which I think is not bad. I think it would actually work out nicely here, but I think Refresher is fantastic against PA. I think the physical damage of the Eye of the Storm being doubled is very good against a hero like that, and I think just such a very good item on Razor, and I don't think we see it enough. I know that he likes it. I know he also likes his Shivas, but we'll have to see what he prioritizes more this game.
Oh, there's going to be a coil. Fear was trying to TP out, got busted by Phobos. And they are converging. Fear. Oh, actually, that was really bizarre. Did he get Yules? He got Yules. Oh, I know what he did. He was leaping. He was pouncing and dark pacting in the meantime. He dark packed Yules is what happened. And now he's still going to end up dead. But that was one of the more interesting interactions I've seen recently. But yeah, he went to pounce, got caught mid-pounce with the Yules. He was already dark pacting though, so when dark pact went off, it completely collapsed it.
Fun. Well, that was fun. That was 5 people there trying to get the kill. They did get it. I think they could have got more out of that if they were TPing quickly with the relocate afterwards and just rushed them. I don't think they have anything to fear in any kind of 4v5 situation. Not at all. Sometimes in situations where EG will lose one like that, and then you have kind of supporting cast to kind of pick up the slack. I don't think that's the case here. I don't think Arteezy's farmed enough to do that, and he is going to go for the Refresher. I think that this is the right build.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, I was going to say MKB on Fear is going to be essential. And, you know, one of the things about PA, even when she does get fat, especially when she builds like this, which is basically, yes, you have your magic immunity, but for the most part, it's just pure fighting. You know, I'm going to right-click you to death build. Once you have MKB to nullify Blur, she doesn't feel that survivable anymore. She doesn't feel that scary anymore. She still outputs a tremendous amount of damage. But if they can get the MKB up on Fear, and they can get maybe a Hex up, oh, no, it's a Ghost Scepter on Universe, so it looks like they're going defensive. But anyway, MKB will certainly help. They do have a fair amount of lockdown as well. And with Bloodlust, eventually, one would imagine getting more points into it from Zai, they're going to be able to get Slark buffed enough to maybe fight it out toe-to-toe with Illidan. But so much of that's going to just rely on good team coordination. Mag, spotted by Zai. There's a nice path to follow up the Fire Blast. Let's see if they've got help on the way. Dual Breath is there. We got both teams converging on this point now. We're going to see the Ogre cleaned up for free. Fear's right on top of them. There's going to be the Yules onto the IO. Ice Path got 2 of them, actually, on the tip of it as well. They got Illidan and Mag. Mag has to run. Illidan wants to go toe-to-toe with PPD. Gets off the grave, so now he's down. Yes, cleaned up. Really greedy play there from Illidan. Yules now on the Death Prophet. Mag comes back down, has the Exorcism popped. That is as unfortunate a sequence of events as could have been expected for Polar. And speaking of Yules, there's another. Catching the Witch Doctor. Ice Path. Fear on top of him. Makes it 3 in a row. Triple kill for the Slark. And just like that, EG gains a ton of momentum and goes a long way in erasing the deficit that they currently are experiencing. And really, being able to kill all of the cores, well, I guess the Puck did survive, but being able to bring down the Death Prophet and the PA, just such a big deal there as we enter now the later stages of the mid-game, now past 30 minutes.
I mean, that streak just basically paid for Fear's MKB. He actually almost has it. So that's really, really scary. I think that Mag was way too stingy with his ult. I was wondering, when are you going to cast your ult? When are you going to cast your ult? And it took him forever to actually do it. And that's the scary thing, too, is that he had to focus, the PA had to focus the Dazzle in there, and he didn't even kill him. He got a bash off, but he couldn't crit him before the Grave came out. And then as soon as that happened, the Grave comes out, it's like, GG, we lose the fight. There's nothing we can do anymore.
Well, about the time that Ice Path hit from Universe threw it to catch the IO, and I don't know if he's just that damn good that he anticipated them moving and to where they move, but he caught them at the tail of it. Right about there, they should have just run, because whenever Illidan went to re-engage, he had to blink through all of EG. Like, he blinked into the heart of the lion. And yeah, EG took advantage. They take a Roshan off of it. That's going to be a Razor with an Aegis of the Immortal. And this has got to be a worrisome moment for VP. If you're them, how do you react to this? Do you try to wait it out and just farm Illidan, or do you try to get the jump on them somewhere?
I think you're going to have to spread the map with Wisp and PA and just farm as much as you can, farm as much as you can on the Death Prophet too, and maybe try to take this at some other engagement without the Aegis. I think it's reached to the point of the game where these supports on EG are just going to be way too tanky for you to burst down in a fight on an even keel. I think that Ogre is way too tanky, THD is way too I know he's not a support, but it's kind of like that sort of hero. There is an Abyssal Blade for PA, which is nice, but I think these weaves are going to play a huge role, if not already, in these team fights from PPD. I think this extra armor for everyone is just kind of rendering this PA not useless, but very underwhelming, if I must say.
Might have a chance to get eyes on Artesian. Well, don't think he wants to engage this solo. There's that MKB done for Fear, and at the same time, Zai completes his Scepter. So, EG off of the back of that fight, and I did pop it up for a second, can't see it now. That was the 750 gold kill streak that Fear cleaned up when he managed to kill Illidan. So, like you said, just huge amount of gold going his way and his entire team's way. And I want to see, yeah, look at that. Off the back of that, in just the last couple of minutes of farming, that's a 5,000 overall net worth lead that was totally erased with one bad fight, and now the experience also moving in that direction, now in favor of EG for the first time in about 15 minutes or so.
Yep, and Zai's got his Ag Scepter, which is really good for Ogre for obvious reasons. Fear with a completed MKB. PPD has a 4-staff for himself, so he's pretty tanky too and can move away. And then Universe with a Ghost Scepter and a Blink picked up almost simultaneously. So they have some very good items. They're ready to push here. They have Bloodlust. They have double Eye of the Storm here for Arteezy. This thing is going to melt.
Yep.
That's only one right now, too.
Mag's there. Grip Swarms. Arteezy shrugs it off. And one tower does end up dropping at top, but I don't think they're going to worry about it. There's Mag caught with the Static Link. A lot of damage already pulled away. That's going to be 84. Behind that, though, the fight's broken out. They do manage to clean up the IO.
What?
And Arteezy, yeah, I didn't even see. Did he go in by himself again?
Yeah, he just relocated by himself in front of everybody.
Yeah, that was strange. And that's a free Rax, and that's an unfortunate mistake. Up atop, yeah, did he mean to bring Illidan with him and failed?
I guess. I don't know. That was so weird.
Yeah.
I actually have no idea. I'm not even going to say. I don't know.
Tier 2 drops in mid, and Illidan has to hoof it, man. He doesn't have the TP, and he was standing in front of the creep, so EG should know that.
Here's the thing. If he's trying to make a big play and, like, oh, I'm going to fake out on my relocate to use everything on him, that works only if there's, like, an Enigma on the team, where it's like, black hole, and then you get him to use a black hole. But this is a THD Ice Path. Like, that comes up frequently, okay? Not exactly expending a whole lot. So it's hard for me to believe that he's trying to make a big play. I think it's just a mess up. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say.
Game's hard, man.
Yep.
Dota is a difficult video game. There's that Shiva's done on Mag. And, you know, Polar lost their racks. The game's far from over, though. However, that momentum that it felt like it was so important for them to have, you know, that's really a kind of a way to look at it with Death Prophet. Like you said, it felt like they were running a 4 Protect 1, and Death Prophet is 100% a momentum hero. Like, you don't just want to have a Death Prophet who is just sitting in a 4 Protect 1 lineup the vast majority of the time. And where they were succeeding was they were getting an absurd amount of farm on Illidan. He still tops in net worth despite how badly things have gone for Polar over the last 5-10 minutes. But they were farming him really well. They were protecting him really well. His first death only took place, what, about 32 minutes in, give or take? And they still were having momentum. They still had Mag with his item progression. And since then, since that one disastrous fight at top, EG has just felt like they're really the ones in control of the pace. So they're probably just going to go ahead and push. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't. They still have the Aegis at least for another minute or two.
Yeah, there's so many things about that we could say about this didn't happen or this should have happened, but I think overall, this Dazzle pick has just kind of trumped VP Polar. Like, again, as you talked about, it's not very flashy. You don't really see big numbers or anything like that, but it's very difficult for them to actually focus someone down and kill them. It's kind of like the same principle as like if you have an Omni Knight on your team where you feel like you have to kill the Omni Knight first. But first of all, that's a tall order. Yeah. And second of all, if you can't do it, like if you can't go on to the Omni Knight, or in this case, the Dazzle, and kill him, you just lose. We already saw this once before. So you have to be very, very careful about it.
One, it's not, just to continue to push the Omni Knight thing. Omni has a fairly, it's decent, but a relatively short duration on his ulti. It feels like forever whenever you're on the other side of it, but Weave, on the other hand, has long duration. Yeah, like, he can throw it now, and so long as they engage in the next 10 or 15 seconds, they're still going to get a tremendous upside from it.
Yep. I think it was a little bit of an early cast, but still, the point still stands that right now, at the peak of its time, you cannot go on him whatsoever.
Yep.
Which is actually I'm incorrect, and you're right. That's plenty of duration here.
And it's on such a low cooldown that they can cast again. There's going to be the Yules. They got Mag, and Fierce on top of him. Macro Pyre down. Mag is down just like that. And they look like they are having a hard time figuring out how to even come into this. Lil's going to end up dropping. Now Illidan going to work on Arteezy. Arteezy is going to be critted down hard. Fear, though, manages to get himself a bash, going to work. Illidan trying to stay alive, can't do it. Ice Path on the mark, and the grave. Had enough mana that time, and Fear is going to be pleased with it. Triple kill for Fear, his second of the game. He's still being chased by Phobos, but should be able to make it away. There's going to be an Ice Path to try and buy a little bit more time. Jaunt might end up being enough, to secure the kill on Zai. And Illidan back up off the buyback will get a big crit, but they're going to end up bringing down another one now. One-on-one again, but Phobos is right there with him. Universe there with the dual breath. That's going to be a grave, not even needed. Call it fireworks as they end up losing. Yep, I was going to say losing the fight, losing the racks, and eventually losing the game. GG called, and EG, who really did feel like they were on the back foot for the longest time in the early stages of that game, manages to battle back and off of one very solidly won fight at top. Just take all that momentum away and secure a win for themselves.
Yep. You saw at the end there, too, just how much damage Arteezy was doing when he had his double ulti up. Just ran in there, run amok, and just didn't give two shits about what was coming his way. Yeah, he didn't have the Aegis at the time, and this Weave kind of went away, but he did so much damage. Slark also was just in the main fight. He can just pop his ulti if things are going bad. He has his MKB, which was just pretty much handed to him on a silver platter with that streak ended from Illidan, which was really bad. That was easily the turning fight of the game. Overextension, call it what you want. Also, as you mentioned, them walking into the Ice Path was a pretty big deal. But I think overall, I would still say a better draft for EG. I think they looked actually quite sloppy, to be honest. Yeah. But I still think it was a better draft.
I feel like there were a lot of deaths that were just free. Like, that's the only word to use. It's just free deaths. And like you said, sloppy play aside, they managed to pull it together down the stretch. Solid performance, of course, from Fear. And, we focused a lot on what was going on with Illidan and Arteezy, but Fear played well, man. I mean, his overall GPM, 585 by the end. That's actually the highest on the board as a whole. And 11 kills and 2 deaths. Not a bad day's work under any circumstances. So that's game 1. We're going to be looking ahead now to game 2. VP Polar taking on Evil Geniuses. Keep in mind, starting today, it's going to go today, tomorrow, and the next day, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe a little bit longer, but you can double check the dates. I'm going to have the plate up for you here in just a minute. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, it's right below me. Like, is that right? Yeah, it's over here. We got a great deal going on in conjunction with HyperX, working with them for a great slash on the price of their headset. So if you're in the market for some new headphones, make sure you check it out at kingston.com/D2LS5. And again, that's going to be going on over the next few